Well, hi everyone, welcome to Mark's 900. I'm Mark, and as you can see, it's Christmas. So I thought I'd take this festive opportunity to confess my sins for the last year. Well, my motorbike sins at least. Now, to start with, it's been just over 1 year since my last speeding offence. I don't know if you remember it, but it was November the 19th, 2021, and I took an MT-09 out for a test ride. It's an excellent machine, and my mate has just bought one as well, so I've had an even closer look at it. And I have to say, that on paper it's actually far better than the Z900. It's got up and down quick shifters, new TFT dash, better brakes and so on. And if you just look at the spec sheet, you definitely pick one over the Z900. However, to my eyes, it's not the best looking bike in the world and a bit of a munter, and I'm not a massive fan of the paint schemes that they've got either. Also, I personally like a 4-cylinder engine, even if that bucks the current trend for having only 2 or 3. So for those reasons, I choose another Z900 over an MT-09 any day. But I'm going off on a tangent, and my secret love of the MT-09 is not actually my confession. So there I was on an MT-09 having a test ride, and well, I'll tell you what, let me show you exactly what happened. So I just turned out of the Yamaha garage, which is just up there, and then turned onto this piece of road, which is a nice 50 miles an hour. So off we proceeded. Down here, not a care in the world, easily sticking to the speed limit on my nice MT-09 that I was taking for a test ride. Now there's absolutely no excuse for speeding in this next bit because it says 30 miles an hour and there's pictures of speed cameras. So let's stick to 30 miles an hour and went through this little village. Still says 30 on the road, and cars were coming towards me like they are now, but nobody was flashing or doing anything like that. Anyway, what I didn't know is up here on the right hand side they hide police cars up there so you can't see them. And that caught me doing 43 in a 30. Naughty boy. It was a fair cop and I didn't manage to get away with it. And here it is coming back the other way, so the police park up there, up in that car park in the village hall. So of course, if you're coming from the other direction, you can't see them. Sneaky. Anyway, last month, 1 year later on in November 2022, I found myself on a dual carriageway going into Gloucester for my COVID jab, and you wouldn't believe it, but this happens. Okay then, so this is the A38 that goes into Gloucester, and it's clearly marked as a 50 mile an hour dual carriageway. Now 50 miles an hour is fine, but it's unusual for a dual carriageway. They're normally 70, but this is 50, so I was sticking to the speed limit. And I was actually in my pickup truck, which doesn't go that fast anyway, so it was dead easy to stick to 50 miles an hour, which is what I was doing, unlike that car that's just come past me. Now, on the other side of the road, the cars coming towards me were flashing and tooting their horns, so I knew something was going on up ahead. So as I peeked off into the distance, I could see that there was a police officer standing on the central reservation. That's this green bit of grass on my right hand side, and they were there with this very sophisticated looking camera. So I think it's fair to say that I was fairly distracted by the cars flashing at me, and also by the fact that there was a police officer stood up here on the road in front of me, and I wasn't taking too much notice. But as I got closer to her, she dived behind the camera and kind of hard focused in on my truck and really took a great deal of interest. I could see she was pointing the camera directly at me. But not to worry, because I was fairly sure that I wasn't breaking any speed limits or doing anything wrong. Now this was really bugging me. Why on earth was this police officer taking such an interest in my vehicle? So I decided to go and drive up the road again, and at this point I realised that the camera was actually taking pictures of me in a 30 mile an hour zone, not a 50. And it was clearly marked by these gigantic 30 miles an hour signposts that I'd missed. Well, as you can probably imagine, I spent 3 weeks worrying myself stupid about getting another ticket. It would probably have led to at least 3 points, or maybe even up to 6, and a hefty fine. Okay, so I wouldn't lose my licence, but the points have such a massive impact on insurance for all vehicles that I drive, and another incident after that would say goodbye to my licence, so at that point I'd even have to question whether riding a Z900 was a good idea. But we're a month on and still nothing, so I think I'm in the clear, and I simply don't know how I got away with that. Okay, so I should say that to avoid getting myself into trouble, that I may have actually been going at the correct speed limit, and there's no evidence to say otherwise. Or perhaps that fancy camera was simply checking for drivers without seatbelts or drivers on their phone. I'll never know, but right now I'm very, very grateful not to be on the end of another notice of intent to prosecute, and I will continue to drive and ride like an angel for the continuing years ahead. For my next confession, I'm rather embarrassed to say that I've never had a riding lesson, not a one, not even a minute's worth of instruction, and if I'm honest, I haven't really passed a test. I do, however, have a full UK bike licence. It's just that I passed my test in another country and I got it transferred onto my UK licence back in the days when that was a thing. I doubt you can even do that now, but for me, I've had a full UK issued bike licence since the early 90s. Now, the reason I said it was a test is because I'll show you exactly what I had to do on a bike, which from memory was just a little Suzuki A100. So this is what I had to do on my riding test. I came to a little industrial estate, a bit like this one, and I was at the side of the road with the instructor behind me, and he told me exactly what I needed to do. And it's this: check over my shoulder, put my arm out to the right, and then pull away, come up the road, and then once again indicate, turn right, and then I disappeared off up this side road, obviously not here, and then I had to turn around without putting my foot down. I had to turn around and then I had to come back again, and the instructor was sitting there waiting for me, and I had to brake. That was my riding test. I did pass my car licence in the UK, which was back in the 1980s, so it's been a while, and this overall lack of training has led to a couple of comments from channel viewers, mates, and even my wife, who has never even ridden a bike. What they're saying is that my road position is generally awful. Now, I've been pointed at the videos to watch, but honestly, 5 minutes on one of those and I'm fast asleep, so I think I'm going to have to bite the bullet and go down the advanced rider route option, as have a couple of friends of mine. So either I am or Rosper for me in the new year, not sure which one yet, but any tips would be greatly appreciated, and if you would like to comment below, that would be really helpful. Next up is a confession about my helmet. I bought it at Motorcycle Live 3 years ago and I've never been convinced that it fits me properly. So I found myself in Helmet City the other day and I spent an hour getting measured and trying on every type of helmet in the shop, at least the ones in my price range. The lady was really patient and even gave me a great discount on this special Red Bull edition of the HJC i70. Well, at least it felt like a good deal, but I could have got it cheaper online. However, I couldn't really bring myself to spend an hour getting measured up and then leave empty-handed. So I'm happy to pay the bit extra just for a great service. So big up to Helmet City in Cheltenham. And if you're in the area, go and visit. They've got a great coffee shop and some classic bikes to have a gander at whilst you're looking around the shop. Okay, so let me see if I can remember as much as I can about the helmet fitting so I can compare this new helmet to the old one. So the first thing I had to do was push on the back of the helmet and to check that there was a very small gap there, but not too much of a gap when the pressure was pushed. So it fits really nice and snug just there across my forehead. Now I've got a little bit too much of a gap here, which could introduce some wind noise, but just because of the shape of my head, I was getting that on every single helmet that I tried on. Other things that she looked at was all the seal all around here and just checked the general fit. And then of course the one where I hold the helmet like this and try and move my head left and right. And as you can see, I can't really move my head within the helmet. So this is a good snug fit all over it. It feels really safe and secure and it's very comfortable. The other thing is, all these various air vents that I've got on it all actually work, which they didn't really do on the last helmet. So anyway, just look at the fit of that and compare it to my other one. So this is my old helmet. This is also an HJC, but this is an IS17. Now I can feel already, just putting it on, it was very easy to put on and it feels too big. Now it's sitting right down on my head and it's actually pushing onto my eyebrows. If I carry out the tests that were carried out with the other helmet, such as holding it there and moving my head, you can see that there's an awful lot of space inside here. Also, if I push behind the helmet and see how much space is there, there's a lot. So this is a really badly fitting helmet, and I genuinely should not have been riding with this for the last 3 years, and I'm very, very grateful that I didn't have any kind of accident or had to use it in anger. So yeah, that's what a bad fitting helmet looks like compared to a good one. My next confession is about my indicators. I'm a nightmare for leaving them on. Ask any of my mates who I go out riding with. Well, on this one occasion I was just on my own riding down this hill and a car pulled out. It was actually a van pulled out from a side road without any warning. Of course, I gave it the usual tutted, shook my head, sort of waved my hands a little bit as if to say, what on earth are you doing? And the girl who was driving this van looked back at me and just kind of shrugged her shoulders and looked at me really surprised. I couldn't quite work out her reaction, it was really odd. Anyway, I looked down, of course my indicator was on to go left, and in actual fact she thought I was turning, which is why she pulled out into the road. I can't blame her. I felt absolutely terrible for it, and really I should have gone back, gone after her and apologised, but that might have looked a bit weird, so I doubt she's watching this, but if she is, I'm really sorry about that, and I will try harder with my indicators in future. Now my final confession is that I bought this as a Christmas decoration. It's a stereotypical long-bearded biker on something that looks like a Harley Davidson. It's got nothing in common with me or my bike. I just bought it on a whim, and my wife hates it so much that I have to hang it in the garage. Well, what can I say? I have absolutely no taste. Anyway, have a great Christmas or holiday period, and let's hope 2023 is a better year for the world. Well, cheers everyone, keep your chains oiled, and I'll see you soon. I just bought this on a whim and asked the wife if I could put it up in the bedroom. She said, I just bought this on a whim. Oh. I just bought this on a whim and asked the wife if I could put it up in the bedroom, and she said no chance, not this side of Christmas, and that's not staying on the wall either. Oh well, I'll screw it into the back door now, the decoration that is, and I'll make sure it won't fall off. So at least one thing in my house is well hung. That's the best bit and I can't use it.